Now, before I can really address the Christian view of creation, which really also includes the creation of man, I need to look at the scientific view of where human beings came from. So what we do is we look way back a long time ago into what's called an eukaryote organism. I'm going to do a rough kind of sketch of what that looks like. This is a cell. Now, inside every living thing, everything that exists, I know we all look like this, but deep down inside of us, we're made up of billions and billions and billions of these little tiny cells that are all pushed together and they form things. Now, the reason that this cell is unique is because there's lots of complex things inside of this membrane. So, the interesting thing about it is every living thing, including animals, plants, and humans, come from this kind of cell. Now, a long time ago, these organisms were all that were around. We didn't have animals, we didn't have humans, or any of that. It all kind of came from this thing, just kind of floating around everywhere. Now, this is where we get into the idea of evolution. Now, evolution says that everything kind of starts to grow and change and transform based upon your surroundings, based upon the need, and things like that. So, this thing was just kind of floating around. Then, one day, and this is oversimplifying it, but then one day, this thing, found way to get to land. It started to sprout legs, it started to move around, it started to do kind of stuff like that. That's the idea of evolution. Now, this is where evolution gets a little tricky. Now, you hear a lot of people's main complaint about evolution is the idea that we come from monkeys. Which I know is weird and it's crazy to think, like you look at a monkey and you think, wait, would that monkey someday turn into us? The answer is no. That's not exactly how it works. So, here's what we're going to look at. This is a rough representation of humans and monkeys, although this kind of looks more like a gorilla, but that's fine. Just track with me. So, what is commonly said is we came from monkeys. But that's not exactly how evolution goes. What evolution says is that at one time, now everything goes through evolution, okay? So at one time, these monkeys went through various stages of evolution as well and came back to an ancestor. Now what an ancestor is think of generations, like you were born, I'm your dad, and then I have parents, my parents have parents, my parents have parents, and it goes all the way back, okay? So those are ancestors. So they're saying that monkeys have this ancestor. What they say is humans, through their various forms of evolutions that we know now, also go back to an ancestor. So what it says is that we have the same ancestors, okay? That's not to say we come from monkeys. So that did not happen, okay? That wasn't there. This is evolution of humanity, okay? Still, the evolution of human isn't even as simple as that. Here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, remember how I said there was the common ancestor that connected to what we know as the monkey, also the same common ancestor that went into what we were known as, which our scientific name is Homo sapien. Mankind that you know it now, we are Homo sapiens. Now, of this this ancestor, what happened was it also started to form something called Homo neanderthals, which were believed to be around living in the Europe area. Also, from the same ancestor came Homo erectus, which was thought to live around Asia. Homo sapiens were thought to be from Africa area. What happened is Homo sapiens, they started to grow out of Africa and either went into these other places where the Homo neanderthals were or the Homo erectuses were, and either one took them over, thus making them, no longer there with the Homo neanderthals and Homo erectus, or they went and lived among them, and then from them came, mankind that we know today. But either way, what we do know is that Homo neanderthals and Homo erectus, for whatever reason, did not survive through the evolutionary timeline of humanity. They are no longer around, and all we are left with is Homo sapiens. So that, in a nutshell, is the story of how human beings came to be through the process of evolution. So we started as one thing, and throughout millions and millions and millions of years, we started to go through different changes, which eventually led us to mankind that you know of today. I just wanted you to know how the beginnings of humanity started. At least this is the scientific view of how it all started. Next time, we're going to look at the Christian view, which will sum up the creation of the universe, creation of the earth, and creation of man. So now again, I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying it's wrong. All I'm saying is this is what the science shows us. Now, next time, we're going to look at what God shows us, how the earth was created. And we'll look at it and see if maybe they're two different things, or maybe they're the same thing. I don't know. We'll find out next time.